The Pittsburgh Steelers are currently in the middle of their second week of training camp and will have open practices on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. One of the biggest storylines surrounding the offense is the offensive line, which ranks 21st in PFF's rankings. Right now, the Steelers' O-line is dealing with injuries as two starters, including a Pro Bowler, are sidelined. The Pittsburgh Steelers placed their LG on the NFI list. Isaac Seumalo suffered an undisclosed injury, later described as a soft tissue injury, away from the practice facility during their month-long break, resulting in the Steelers placing him on the NFI list to start training camp. As a result, he has missed the first week and a half of practice, but has taken part in individual drills off to the side. Seumalo is the oldest starting offensive lineman on the team, who brings leadership and experience to one of the youngest units in the league, and they cannot afford for him to miss time in 2025. Pittsburgh Steelers activated Pro Bowler in Week 2 of training camp. According to Brooke Pryor of ESPN, the Steelers have activated Isaac Seumalo off the NFI list and will return to practice on Thursday. However, the Pro Bowl guard only participated in individual drills and did not partake in team drills today. Since soft tissue injuries can linger, the team is wisely playing it safe, ensuring that Seumalo does not aggravate the injury. The Steelers' defense mauled the offense on the first day in pads. But the offense came looking for payback this morning. Players like WR/DK Metcalf made it their mission to correct their issues from the previous day, and they largely accomplished that goal. "Nobody likes to lose like that," Metcalf said of the offense's Wednesday performance via Post-Gazette Sports on YouTube. "Nobody likes to get pushed around the first day of pads. But we took it personal, cleaned up some of our technique stuff, some of our splits. And we put an emphasis in the meeting room yesterday that we were going to come out here and try to ball." There was no debating which unit was the better of the two through the first 5 practices. Our Alex Kozora even wrote a feature article about the dominance of the defense so far. To be fair, that is what the NFL's highest-paid defense should look like. The offense was always going to have an uphill battle but needed to show signs of life, and the group got that done in today's practice. Kozora called it both Aaron Rodgers and the offense's best day overall. The offense still lost 7 shots 4-3, but it came down to the last snap to decide the day. And the offense showed big improvement in the 11-on-11 team sessions of practice. The Rodgers-Metcalf connection looked especially strong, with the two hooking up on multiple scores, including a 55-yard TD over the middle on a crosser. It's a catch 22 at training camp because one unit always looks good at the expense of the other. But if this offense can look good against a star-studded defense, it should be able to excel against almost anybody in the league. This is just one practice of Rodgers and company looking solid. They will need to stack positive days and build off their success, but it's a good sign that they took enough pride in their game to correct their poor performance from yesterday. They responded to the challenge. This offseason, TJ Watt received a massive contract extension from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The last time they gave him an extension, Watt had his best NFL season yet. In 2021, he won Defensive Player of the Year, tying the single-season sack record with 22.5. However, there are some who contest that record. Former NFL pass rusher Jared Allen believes he is the record holder, arguing that the NFL robbed him of a sack on Aaron Rodgers in 2011, which would have given him 23 at the end of the year. Apparently, despite joining Watt and the Steelers this offseason, Rodgers agrees with Allen. "You are the all-time single-season sack leader," Rodgers said Thursday in a video posted on the Vikings Twitter. "I don't care what the numbers say, because that phantom bullshit sack they took away from you would give you the record. In my book, and probably in most Vikings fans' books, you're the all-time single-season sack leader." Despite playing on rival teams in the NFC North, Rodgers seems to have a great deal of respect for Allen. The play in question came in Week 10 in 2011, and it's easy to see why it's up for debate whether or not Allen should get credit for the sack. Rodgers gets the snap and begins to drop back, but then he drops the football. He tries to pick it up but never quite gets his footing back before Allen brings him down. Initially, Allen received credit for the sack, but the NFL changed it to a team sack late in the week. There's a reason for that, though. Unfortunately for Allen, Rodgers drops the ball of his own accord. No one knocks it out of his hands or hits him to force the fumble. Therefore, no individual player receives credit for the sack. However, an argument could be made that the pressure from Allen led Rodgers to drop the ball. In the past, Allen has also tried to argue that Rodgers retained possession of the ball before he was brought down, but that feels like a weaker argument. The ball is still being juggled around when Allen gets hold of Rodgers. Also, it's easy to split hairs with NFL statistics, especially sacks. Look at what Watt did in 2021. There were numerous occasions where someone could argue that he got robbed of a sack. Whether it was the NFL's ruling or officials missing blatant holds, Watt dealt with his fair share of bad luck. He even had almost the same situation happen to him that Allen experienced. In the final week of the season, against the Baltimore Ravens, quarterback Tyler Huntley fumbled the ball, and Watt brought him down. However, he wasn't credited with the sack. Anyone could play the what-if game with the NFL all day long. Allen's play is less clear-cut than he and Rodgers make it out to be. The NFL rules outline that scenario clearly. Also, there's no telling if history would have repeated itself perfectly if Allen had been credited that sack. It wasn't like it came in the final week of the season. There were still plenty of games left. There's no use crying over spilled milk. Watt and Michael Strahan are tied for the NFL single-season sack record with 22.5. Allen's number of 22 is still something to be proud of. Not many players have reached that number. The Pittsburgh Steelers were hit with their first concerning injury of the offseason, watching Broderick Jones leave the field with a lower body injury just before pads came on at training camp. The left tackle has since returned, with head coach Mike Tomlin classifying the injury as a soft tissue injury. Now, the exact issue has been revealed. The Athletic's Mike DeFabwa has reported that Jones is dealing with a groin injury. Jones was seen getting wrapped by trainers on his right-left, with the bandage going up into his lower back. He only took one more snap during that practice session, with the injury occurring during individual drills. Jones would have missed Tuesday's practice when the team returned for the second week of training camp, but practice was canceled. He was then on the field the following day, taking almost all of the first-team reps, with some breaks in between. Calvin Anderson and Dylan Cook looked to be competing for backup reps as the swing tackle. Anderson was the first player to replace Jones after the injury, but did not last the entire 7-shots drill before being replaced for Cook, who stayed with the first team the remainder of practice. Pittsburgh is still looking for Jones to take a significant step forward in his third season, and first on the left side. They'll now also hope his injury doesn't linger.